Welcome to Gia's On Deck Travel. I'm your host, Michelle, and today we're going to talk about spooky season cruising, holiday cruising, and yes, the ever perpetual topic of tipping. Thanks for joining me today. So let's first talk about spooky season. I love Halloween and it's fun to pick a costume. But today I want to ask you guys, what do you think my costume should be? Should it be this or this or maybe even that? Tell me in the comments. Would love to know your opinion. So, Royal Caribbean has been hosting spooky season cruises the entire month of October, which I think is really cool because sometimes you just can't go on your cruise on Halloween. So, they've had different events and different things happening and different parties, which I think is pretty awesome because it gives everybody a chance to partake in the Halloween season. So have you ever been on a holiday cruise? And if you did, tell me what it was. I would love to know and tell me what your opinion of it was. I have always tried to get as close to a holiday as I can, but sometimes my schedule doesn't allow for that. But I did have a client go on a New Year's Eve cruise last year, and they said it was the best New Year's Eve that they had ever experienced, and they recommended to everyone. So tell me what you think about cruising during a holiday and what holiday you would choose. I know I would be struggling to stay up till midnight because, I get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But on a cruise with a holiday theme, I would definitely take a disco nap and make the effort. So comment down below. Also, in cruising, I don't know if you saw my last video, but cruising is back with a vengeance. And, it is projected that in 2026, 21.7 million cruisers will hit the high seas. That number just blows my mind. What about you? Are you part of that 21.7 million cruise passenger number? And if you are, tell me what your next cruise is. I would love to hear about it. Also, let's go back to tipping. It seems like tipping comes up in the cruise world every other week. And I don't think I've ever talked about it before, but I am going to tell you the opinions of moi, and that is it. Just the opinions of moi. It is not word, it is not written law, but this is what's come up. So a cruise influencer, to use the word, stated that she talked to several crew members and they told her that they do not get the tips. They told her that unless they are tipped in cash, that the monies are pooled into the company's reserves and used to supplement their wages. Now, John Heald, Carnival Cruise Lines Ambassador, snapped back on that and said that is absolutely not true. He doesn't know why influencers are spreading rumors. This is how it goes. If you leave your prepaid gratuities on your account, your crew members get those gratuities. He said they are fully well and able to pay their employees a salary. But here's my opinion. If you're that concerned about who's getting the tips you're leaving, leave them in cash. That's right. So, I love tipping in cash as well as a prepaid gratuity, but I love rewarding in cash, for example, my barista. I get on the ship, I usually get a coffee because, embarkation day, as you know, is a really long, drawn out process. And sometimes, I'm staggering midday. So I'll get a coffee and then a couple hours later, I'll get another one to make the stretch of the evening. And by the time I go back a couple hours later, that barista knows my name, knows my drink, and knows my travel partner's drink. I mean, that's some really good customer service. And I think that deserves a reward. So, tipping in cash, bring a couple of dollars when you go to the bar. The bartender is going to remember you and be so appreciative. And there is nothing like seeing the gratitude on their face when you do tip them. And they are so happy to receive that directly from you. So if you're concerned about it, you have an optional way to do it. But I do want to tell you a funny story. Back in the 90s, when I first started cruising, there was no prepaid gratuities. The way it worked was the last day of your cruise, you would get a series of envelopes left on your bed by your room steward. And it kind of took the guesswork out of it, where it said head waiter, assistant waiter, room steward, maitre d', things of that nature. And I think that was about the only envelope. And then they would have some blank ones, or you could cross out the name and put whoever you wanted. So we laughed because the entire cruise, you would not see the maitre d'. You knew he was behind the scenes, but you never saw him. But on the last night, when it was time to pass out the envelopes, he made an appearance. Boy, did he ever. And not only that, he'd come around, he'd introduce himself. He would give you this paper placemat that had this lovely picture of the ship on it, and then he would collect his envelope. We just laugh about that because, it just seemed kind of funny. He was out, there present, making sure he was collecting his envelope. But I digress. Anyway, what do you think about the tipping situation? Has an influencer influenced you as to how you tip? So leave me your comments down below. I would love to hear what you think. And thank you for liking this video. I appreciate it in advance, and it helps me to continue to bring you more content. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you'll stay tuned for my footage of my Halloween spooky season cruise. Bye for now, and I'll see you on deck in costume.